So this past week, I had a couple of people ask me how to decoupage, and they had bought lots of stuff. You know, they had bought some product. So I thought maybe we need to do, hi Patty, just a basic decoupage. So we're just going to talk about basic decoupage today. So this is one of the new papers that just came out from Posh Chalk. I love her. I think she's so beautiful. So when you're working with the Posh Chalk Decoupage, one of the things that you'll notice is that it has these fibers in it. And that makes this quite strong. And if you've ever worked with mulberry paper, it's very similar.
I understand.
Oh, okay. My watch is talking to me.
Doesn't understand mulberry paper.
So this is very similar with, you know, it has these kind of strings in it that make it very strong, and yet it's a really nice thin paper. So one of the basic things with decoupage, now you don't have to, but most often you want to put it on a white background because it is going to brighten your paper up. It's going to make it, it's going to make the colors pop. Now, if you wanted it to be a little darker or deeper, let me get a box and I'll show you the difference really quick. So you can see how bright and pretty she is. Now, if I were to put her, it's going to darken those colors. So, I mean, it's not a huge difference, but it is a significant, I mean, there is a difference. So, some people like to have that dark and moody. I always put mine on a white background because I want those colors to pop and for it to be bright. So that's one of the basic things about decoupage. The other thing that's very basic with decoupage, and I don't need to do it on this one, but if you are going to put your decoupage on furniture, whatever, and you need to blend it, you want to do what's called a wet cut, where you take a brush, a little brush, we'll just do a little bit over here, and you get it wet, and then you just go down the side of whatever it is, and you're going to want to take this, see how strong, this is nice strong paper. You're going to want to take this off, and the reason that you do that is, now say this was going to be on my piece of furniture, this rough edge is going to blend. I'm going to be able to blend that into my furniture or whatever I'm putting it on a lot better than if I just have a straight edge. I have had papers that I put on that have a straight edge, and I've forgotten to do this, and it is so super hard to blend it. I mean, it can be done, but it's so much harder. So if you're putting it on, you know, something you're going to need to blend it in, you're going to want to take off wherever you've got a straight edge, okay? It'll be so much easier. So the other thing that this gal asked me is she wanted to know about the brushes that Solly uses. So these are the two Posh Chalk brushes. They're called the Smooth and Blend. This is the large one, and this is the smaller one. This is about, I don't know, what would you say?
3 inch.
Is it 3 inches? This one's more like 4-ish. These are lovely to put down your decoupage paper with. They're really nice. This gal wanted to know what Solly used because she's seen her do it, but she couldn't figure out the brushes that she was using. So these are the brushes that Solly uses. Mine are hammered. Okay, then the other part that we use is called the Posh Chalk Infuser. Okay, so this infuser is a decoupage medium, so we can put our decoupage down with it. It's also a really strong top coat. It's basically a top coat. And then we also mix our pigments with this. So because you mix your pigments with this, then they don't have to be sealed because you've mixed it with a top coat. Okay, so this is like you're sealing, you can seal your furniture, anything with this, but it's a lovely decoupage medium also. The reason I love it is because I used to use a different kind, and it was the reason this one is not like heavy and it's not wet. So your paper, sometimes when you're decoupaging, your paper gets so saturated and wet that it's so hard to work with. This goes down, once you top coat it, it goes down into the paper and it really bonds it to your furniture or to whatever substrate that you're putting it on. But when you're first putting it on the back, it's not so wet that it's just a gunky mess. So I love this. Plus it dries really fast and it's super hard. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're gonna put this gal down. So I just keep my infuser in a little bottle because I use it so much. I use it constantly. So I just keep mine in a bottle, and I'm just going to pour some out over here. All right, so I want to wrap her around my sides. So I'm going to make sure I've got enough at the top. I don't want to cut off too much of her hat. And we're centered. Now, the other thing that people have asked me is about the folds in the paper. The folds will come out when you put your decoupage down. That's one of the cool things about this lovely paper is they just come out so nicely. The only time I have had the fold not come out was when I did an iron. I was trying to iron and I didn't get, and I'm like, I will never iron again in my life. I can get my paper flatter and prettier without ironing, just putting it down. So you don't need to worry about the lines. You don't need to steam them out. You'll be just fine. Okay, so I've got her where I want her. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start at the top. I'm going to fold her back. I do have my mister bottle handy. Whoops, no mist, no water. Because sometimes I'll mist the top of the paper, or you can even use a little bit of a wet brush. That kind of, what happens if you mist a little bit, it expands the fibers of the paper, and that also helps to get it down and get it down flat. Now I don't have to do that so much with the Posh Chalk paper. Some other decoupage papers I use, I will mist them, but most of the time this stuff just goes down so nicely. So I'm going to use the smaller Smooth and Blend, and when you're putting your decoupage down, you want to make sure that you have good coverage so that you don't get bubbles underneath your paper. So I kind of go back and forth and back and forth. You don't have to saturate, but you do want a good amount. Then you're going to take your other brush, you're just going to lay it down, and you're just going to smooth from the middle out. And look how beautifully nice that went down. Absolutely lovely. Okay, so now I'm going to go this way. I'm going to pull it back to the area where I stopped. Okay. And I'm just going to continue on. Now I'm going to continue on a little further down and work my way back so I don't get a real wet line up there on my paper. just going to go from the middle and go out. Now see how lovely that went down? Those lines are now gone where it was folded. If you feel like it didn't get down well enough, you have a little bit of time to pick it back up, not tons, because it does start to stick quite fast. But look how beautiful that went down. I could not do this ironing. There's just no way. I mean, I guess you could, but I can't. Okay. Woo, she's pretty. I love her. Love her. Okay, one more. Sometimes you'll see Solly, she just takes her infuser and she just pours it and, you know, she gets her whole paper down at one time. I don't trust myself to be able to do it that great, so I like to work in sections. A little wrinkle right there. I'm going to try and get it out. I can work that out a little bit. There we go. Went down. It's beautiful. Okay, you're almost down. Now see how I'm kind of getting a little bit of pooling right here? This is where I'll sometimes mist, and it'll help stretch that for me a little bit so I can get it to go down a little better. Okay, we're going to put a little bit of last one right here. Okay. Woohoo! Oh, just love her. She's so beautiful. I hate to cut this part off on the bottom, but okay, so now she's down. I want to check. I'm gonna wrap her, so I'm gonna turn her this way. I want this to wrap around the sides. And then I'm probably going to put some wood band around it like a frame. I'm going to make sure all my it's all down nicely. And then we're just going to take a little sanding block and sand it off. Assistant.
Sure.
You have a great assistant over here. had a little bubble right there, so I'm just going to put some more. I didn't have it quite down. Okay, now it's down. Okay, last one. Okay, so we're pretty much down here. So I'm going to take my sanding block, my little sanding paper, and you always want to sand away. I'm going to stand up. You want to sand away from you so you don't pull the paper off. My sanding blocks had it. And it should just make a lovely, nice cut for you. Okay? See how nicely that comes away. Once this paper's off, I can go back and make sure, you know, I've got it down nicely everywhere. It's a little bit wet, so you do want to be careful. I can feel some of that infuser coming through a little bit. So you just want to be a little bit tender with it. And I'm not too worried about this because I'm going to be putting a border on it. Oh my goodness, look at her. She's beautiful. I love her. Okay, so now you've got your paper down. Now we want to seal it. Now, if I was putting this on furniture, I would absolutely seal this before I move on. And the reason I do that is because, or furniture, whatever, because if you're blending, if you've sealed it and you've allowed it to dry, then as you're blending, like if you make a mistake, then you have a little bit of time to come and wipe it off, or, you know, take a little baby wipe and you can fix whatever you've, you know, it gives you some time to, and it won't absorb it right that second. Now, if I didn't seal it and I started painting, then it's done. So I would suggest you seal your piece before you move on and do anything else. So, right, we're just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to get some more infuser now, and we're just going to get her down. And this, the thing that's so cool about this paper is, and the infuser is, now it will go and start to soak in and really bond it to your piece. So like even when people have put them on chairs, you know, if they've decoupaged a chair, it sticks. It's like become part of
it. Infuses.
That it does. Infuses. Very good. Very good.
By the way, Patty says it. Solly method.
Solly method. Pour it on. So it's really going to just bond now to this It's going to seep into there. I'm going to go around, make sure I've got all my edges down, got nice straight strokes. So when this dries, she will be infused to this board. Oh, she's gorgeous. Okay. And that is basically it. So you would just let it dry, and then I will come back and I'm going to put the would you bend around it as a frame, or you wouldn't even have to if you didn't want to. You could just hang it up just like that. She doesn't have to have any kind of a border. Isn't she beautiful?